people out there. Welcome to our second episode of City. In this video, we are going to talk about that one thing we all keep ignoring, that is our fitness. And to guide us in a right direction, we have with us Mansha, who is a fitness coach from last 8 years. Hi Mansha, how are you doing?
Hi, Misha. I am doing well. How are you doing?
I am doing amazing. So, what exactly is the difference between training and coaching?
Not a lot of difference, but there are some substantial differences. So, training is a part of coaching. You train people for whatever goals they have. They have to type of lifestyle that they not necessarily currently have. So whatever goal they have, they need to have like a linear pathway that leads up to that goal, right? So in order to actually just cut through the bullshit, I kind of lay down that pathway without them having to second guess themselves or make certain mistakes that would set them back few months, maybe a year or something. So uh, the journey from A to Z is comparatively easier. And because there is a much experienced person who does this also as part of their lifestyle, they have a better understanding of how things are done. If you are feeling certain ways, then I would be able to give you certain answers. If not, then we can work through certain things. But it is always better to have somebody there to be able to talk to whatever concerns you have. You can just put them forth, and I will be able to take care of them. So essentially, that I would say what coaching is, but it is much more than that. There are certain aspects to it which requires me to be able to understand the person better, to be able to whatever is going on in their life, if it's directly hampering their health, which in a lot of the cases it does happen in the form of stress. So in the ways that you can manage stress, it could be very different for different people. So to be able to come from like absolutely having no idea to understanding much more about your body, and that takes like the I would be the middleman, so to speak.
So, you have been coaching for so long. So, you have met so many people. And among these people, I am sure that there must be those who freak out when the word exercise comes. So, how important is exercise and how do you get them to do it?
I think at this point there is enough research out there, so anybody who has access to a smartphone and internet, I guess, they can just Google how important exercise is for a healthy mind, not just the body. So just that particular aspect, you'll get a myriad of results, and that is not limited to scholarly literature, but also there are various articles by. You have to obviously filter through them, but there are various articles with from credible sources which would tell you that yes, exercise is extremely important for not just your physical health but also your mental health as well. So from that particular perspective, yes, exercise is extremely important. People think that exercise is something that you can just discount. It is not necessary. It is. Why? Because that's why look at your body. Your body is made to move.
Yeah.
If you were not made to move, if you know were not made to do certain laborious tasks, you won't have two hands with 5 fingers to get a grasp of things to be able to move. You won't have legs,
Yeah.
right? And the people think the spine is one bone. It's not. It's 33 bones. which are just clasped together, right? And it is very flexible, more than most people would think, right? So if it's not supposed to, if you're not supposed to move in different directions, why can your spine move in different directions, right? So if nature allows you to move and nature actually enables you to move, then to not move would be defying nature itself.
Yeah.
So from that perspective as well, I would say exercise is extremely important. Plus, at the same time, our ancestors had a pretty laborious lifestyle as well, right? Now, because of the technologies that we have access to, it becomes very hard for us to be able to get the same amount of, physical work done. So exercise becomes excessively important now more than ever.
Yes, 100%. So you mentioned about the mental health. So how does exercise impact our mental health?
Exercise can impact your mental health in more than one way. Um, One of the primary things that I would suggest a lot of youngsters, especially, is the fact that it is kind of like an outlet if you're feeling, I don't know, anxious, if you're feeling like things are not going your way. It's kind of like if you're like full of frustration and all that. So it can be a very, very healthy outlet in one way. Number two, it also promotes the production of certain neurotransmitters, which are called endorphins, which are also very well known as feel good hormones. So
Mhm.
you, exercising. And one other thing is you build kind of like if somebody has loss of appetite, they have been known to be able to increase their appetite. Not only that, it can actually try to like all those negative emotions inside of you. You can, I don't want to say that exercise is equal to processing negative emotions. No, you might need therapy depending on the kind of situations you're in. But can it be like a very healthy outlet for such things in very moderate, in a moderate manner? Yes, 100%. So that, but at the same time, it also, you can develop muscle. And one of the primary aspect of muscle is that it actually promotes joint health, and also you are stronger just in general. So if somebody doesn't want to get strong, which I don't think there is anybody,
Yeah.
so that is kind of like a consequence of exercising, doing strength trainings in particular. So you can choose whatever way that you want to exercise. I personally like to, promote strength training, especially for women as well. So yeah, that is, I think, a gist of how much exercise can do for you just from a mental health aspect.
So do you meditate? And if you do, then has this impacted your overall lifestyle?
I like to incorporate a variety of things in my routine. Primarily, it would be weight training, but I also include some form of cardio. Um, and I also like to meditate sometimes. I have a very wandering brain, so it doesn't work all the time. But when I am very flustered and very scattered, it actually helps me compose and introspect, which is always a good thing to be in touch with yourself. But also as a variety, like as like as well as lifestyle can go, it actually helps you come in contact with yourself. So uh, yeah, I do meditate, but not for the reasons that you would think. But yes, I have been known to meditate. Yes.
Okay, so you were talking about the strength training, right? So
Yes.
that definitely needs supplements. But do supplements are also necessary for other kinds of exercises or a normal lifestyle?
Okay. I think it's sort of like a misnomer that for strength training, because you strength train, you need supplements.
Yeah.
You need supplements without that.
Okay.
Okay. Just if you don't do anything, let's say for
Mm-hmm.
example,
Yeah.
and even if you go for a blood test today without doing anything, without doing any sort of exercise, you don't have to start anything. I promise you, there are going to be certain deficiencies which are 100% going to be the case. Like,
Mm-hmm.
for majority of the individuals, unless you are a genetic freak of some kind, you are going to see some or the other deficiencies or some biomarkers which would be not in range, might not be a cause for concern, but still it's something which is out of the ordinary, right? And to be able to manage or rather improve the quality of your biomarkers, you have to ingest certain compounds, and those compounds you can find well, you can find in food. But the problem with that is there is like a loss in translation when the food gets converted in the body, right? So, can you get the exact amount of food, like exact amount of a particular nutrient through food itself? No, you can't.
Okay, so this deficiency are mostly seen in women's or in all.
Yes, everybody. So it's more like, if you think that vitamin D deficiency, let's say, for example, it's
Mhm.
not just in women. Uh, you would see that it's consistent with the whole population,
Yeah.
with men as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, for women, uh, predominantly iron deficiency also occurs, especially in India.
Mhm.
Okay. So that is one thing that is, if you want to relate it to women in particular, you'll find that. But also, in some cases, calcium deficiency would be there, but that could be related to like vitamin D deficiency in general. And women have like, in general, their bone health kind of suffers. It's just a biological thing. But
Mhm.
through strength training, what you do is you not only are, putting on muscle, but you're also improving your bone health as well.
So, as we know, a lot of people have misconception about gyms,
Yeah.
right? Either people go to gym to lose weight or to get that abs and all. So, what do you think should be motive of any individual to join a gym?
What you just said was basically you described two ends of a spectrum. So, like you said, so people go to gym to lose weight. Now, believe it or not, those are people who not necessarily understand what the whole process is. They actually just want to lose fat,
Hmm.
but because they correlate fat and weight, so they just say weight because that's what they hear. So you can't really fault them for not knowing certain things.
Mhm.
And it is actually my job as a coach to be able to, help them understand the difference between the two things. Okay. And what I personally like to, not just my clients, but everybody, I ask them what they think weight loss means, right? And typically their answer is somewhat that kind of like resonates with the fat loss thing,
Mhm.
right? So it is basically what they want. They just want a fat loss. And this is what I tell them. Your weight consists of your bones, the water that is inside of you. Your body is made up of 60 to 70% water. Okay. So that your organs, which is going to basically account for the lean body mass, right?
Mhm.
And also the food that is in your gut. All right. So
Yeah.
all of these factors are going to, mm, contribute towards how much you weigh.
Yeah.
All right. But also fat. Sorry, I forgot that. So, so all of these factors contribute to how much you weigh. But you don't want to lose your bone mass, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to lose your organ weight either.
Yeah.
You also have no control over how your gut functions
Yeah.
and how so basically you're not going to override the functioning of your digestive system, so to speak, right? So the only factor that you can help, or rather you want to actually get in check, so to speak, is the fat bit. Fat is the only factor that is everybody is going to agree with that, right? You just
Yes.
want to lose fat. So
Yeah.
this is how I explain it to them, and then they understand, oh, it is basically the fat that I want to lose, it's not nothing else. So that is very easily explained to these people, and they understand the difference. So what they want to do is essentially fat loss, and when they understand what it is, so they shift on the spectrum to a slightly grayer area, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then comes the other end of the spectrum, people wanting abs. Now, they might have their own reasons why they want to look aesthetic. And if that's something that they really, really want to do, sure, they can do that. I'm not going to stop anybody from, looking the way that they want to. Some of my clients want to look that way. I have looked that way. I have wanted to look that way. Will I do it ever again? No. But if somebody wants to do it, my personal suggestion is they should try it once to understand. Like, if you're not a bodybuilder, or if you're not planning on becoming a bodybuilder, when I say a bodybuilder, I mean a professional one.
Yeah.
So if you're not planning on becoming a bodybuilder, if you have no goals in that particular aspect to ace as a particular athlete, a bodybuilding athlete, you don't need that. You don't need to. I mean, sure, for aesthetic reasons, if you want to do that, maybe do it once or twice, or I don't know. But other than that, once you have tried, right, you'll see the kind of sacrifices you have to make, right? You can't eat certain kinds of foods at all. You have to be very specific about the amount that you are eating. You have to be very specific about the workouts that you're getting. You have to be very specific about the cardio. You cannot miss any of these things, because if you do, you will be set back.
Yeah.
And that is a problem, because then, if you see, when you, I don't think people realize that to get abs, it's you have to starve a bit,
Hmm.
all right? And I'm not going to say it, oh, it's not a good thing. It is necessary if you have certain goals. It aligns with certain goals, right? So when you're on a fat loss, you are going to feel hungry, because the food intake is going to be limited. You cannot eat whatever it is that you want, however much you want, and still be able to, depending on the person. If the person is genetically gifted, they probably wouldn't be, wouldn't have that much of an issue.
Hmm.
But a person who does not have that ability, they might have to, do a little bit more. They have to suffer a bit more.
Hmm.
And to and for the coaches who, put out there that it's easy, it's not easy. I have done that personally. I have actually trained my clients, and they some of them have been able to achieve that. It takes a lot out of you. You can't do that in a
Hmm.
long term.
So, how easily you explain this? I'm sure there is no easy way of actually losing weight, or is there?
Um, I mean, yeah, sure. It depends on whether you want to live or not. I mean, I can just cut down all the foods that you're eating. Maybe let you eat just salad for the next 1 week, 2 weeks, or however many months it takes. So you will get what you want, but now your life is miserable. Now, when you go back to, I mean, this is not something that I do, but I'm just
Hmm.
saying in general, this is exactly what people do, and this is the wrong kind of approach. So
Yeah.
the thing about fat loss is it is a slow process.
Hmm.
And the problem with most people is they want instant gratification.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, and it's not going to happen, because if you want something really quickly, that is not supposed to be that you can't get quickly, then there are repercussions that you don't want to face, right? It's kind of like when you go for a when you are into a new job, let's say for example,
Hmm.
right? You're not going to get a promotion just 1 month in.
Yeah.
You have to work for it. You have to actually work towards a particular goal for however long it takes for your boss to notice, I guess,
Yes.
right? So you can't just force your boss to be like, "A, mere ko promotion de,"
Yes.
because there are going to be repercussions to that. Not only never have that promotion ever, number one. Number two, you might actually lose your job just by
Yeah.
talking to your boss like that.
Yeah. And even if you get it in like 1 month, will you be able to handle that responsibility? You
Exactly.
know,
And most people, the kind of lives they lead, they're busy. So people discount the fact that they have a life. Okay. So having abs or just fat loss is not their entire life. It is a part, aspect of their life which they want to improve. Yeah, they want to improve their health. But there are things that you cannot just ignore, right? So it shouldn't be that particular focus. You should be able to do that along with other things in your life. So if you stop eating in general and just, I don't know, survive on salads or whatever, how long do you think you can manage that without losing a lot of your energy, being absolutely mentally drained, right? And physically drained after a while, and being irritable just because of that, just by not having food in your system, right? You
mhm.
will be a menace to be around. Do you want that? No, of
No.
course not.
Yep.
So your social life is going to be I don't want to say the word that I was going to say. um, your social life is going to suffer.
Yeah. It's going to be
Your
miserable.
personal life is going to suffer. You in general are going to suffer. So what's the point?
I 100% agree with you, and that is the only reason why I have been asking you this question. On this internet and social media, everywhere it's filled with unnecessary knowledge. They say 7-day water challenge and all just to lose weight. They're giving out, nonsense to people, and people are actually buying that thing. Buying in the sense buying a content, which is very dangerous. No? तुरंत के तुरंत.
Yeah, but you have to understand that people just want something that is quick and easy to do, which
Yep.
is absurd, by the way.
Yeah.
Nothing in this particular universe is quick and easy. I wish it was. Trust me, my life would be so much easier, but it's not.
Yeah. They should focus more on being healthy, on being more fit, like they should move more. If you can't exercise, at least walk inside your house only
Okay,
or in your
so
office or somewhere. Eat healthier, stop junk foods. Like
I
we
mean,
have
you
very
don't
basic
necessarily
foods.
have to stop eating junk food in general. I mean, it obviously depends on your goals as well, but
Yeah.
whatever little joy you have in life, you should not remove that. I'm not saying food is equal to joy. Maybe it's not for you, but in general, for most people, when they see laddu and if they're not able to eat it, they feel sad, you know. And I say laddu, but it could be anything,
Yeah.
right? So whatever little joy you have in life, whatever little moments you can derive happiness or joy from, why discount it? Sure, learn to manage. That is what I'm trying to say. So if you have no control over yourself, then that's a problem. You should be able to have some control. This also teaches you self discipline.
Yes.
Okay, so you should be able to tell yourself no in certain situations, and you would find that in certain aspects of life it does pay off very well. So when you said that the 7 day thing, how dangerous it is pretty dangerous. But the thing is that if you just drink a lot of water, okay, and you can try this. You drink a lot of water, whatever you're drinking right now, maybe that's 1 liter or maybe 1.5 liters. Just double that for the next 7 days. Okay, I promise you, you're going to see a visible change in the weight scale.
Okay.
Yeah, and that it's that easy to be able to, see a difference in the weight scale. The moment you start drinking the same amount of water again, tell me what will happen.
Again, you will get back to what you were.
Exactly. So what you were running towards was temporary,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right? And the additional thing that I like to tell people is to have long-term goals. Having
Mm-hmm.
short-term goals is just bleh, right? And the long-term goal that a lot of people need to focus on is that if, let's say, for example, you live past the age of 60, let's say, for example, okay, 60, 65-ish, something like that. So, what is the likelihood that that somebody would get some sort of health-related issues or bone-related or joint-related issues or something like that? Is there a possibility? Yeah, they do. Most
Yeah.
people do, right? So, what I try to at least impart to my own clients is think from the aspect of you being a 65-year-old guy, girl, whatever. Okay. Um, you'll have grandkids. But let's
Yeah.
say, for example, if you have grandkids, do you want to just sit and,
Them.
not being able to play with them, being dependent on somebody else to be, walking you around, not being able to do anything, even walk to the bathroom on your own?
Yeah.
Is that the life that you want when you're 65? To be heavily dependent on others?
No.
Because that is degrading in a way, right?
Yeah.
So think of that. And if you start today, your future is going to look absolutely the opposite of that. Meaning you will not only be able to stand up and just walk around by yourself, but also you'll be able to play with your grandkids, run around with them. Is
Yes.
that not, like, if you can imagine that, it's a very beautiful
It's a
thought,
very, yeah,
and it
100%.
is somewhat a reality. And I'll tell you why I know that for a fact. Because when I was in school, there was this particular teacher of mine, English teacher in particular. He used to teach the same standard, but he did not used to teach my class. But we used to see him every single morning around 6:30, 7ish, on the playing grounds, because I used to, do 100 meters, 200 meters. I used to see him with I forgot what they're called. So these are the calisthenics sort of like rods. Okay. So they are in the playground. So they are like rods which are just, they are like parallel dips, the parallel bars, sorry, parallel bars, which are just engraved in the ground. I guess that is the word that I can think of. So parallel bars. Okay. This particular teacher of mine, he was around the age of 58, 60, something like that. And every single morning, I used to see him do parallel bar dips, push-ups, and then he used to run.
Wow.
Yeah. And I tell you, when I tell you that that guy at 58, maybe 60, was fitter than the teacher who used to teach us accountancy, who was probably in his early 30s. I actually derived a lot of inspiration from just that. Like, do I want to be that accountancy guy? No, I don't want to be. I want to be like that at 60. I want to be able to
Yeah.
do stuff, right?
Yeah.
It is very exciting for me, just the thought, because obviously a lot of people don't have that, but to be able to have that, zeal when you are of a certain age, it it inspires yourself. You can inspire yourself. You don't need anybody else. So yeah, I mean, I'm ranting at this point, just talking, but still, it's kind of like you have to derive inspiration because it's a long, tedious process. And And yes, there are going to be setbacks, there are going to be certain other problems that are going to come in your life, but it should be a constant, you know.
Mhm.
Just because you can't do it as frequently doesn't mean you shouldn't do it at all.
Yeah, I agree to you 100%. Even I also want a life like that. Like how active I am today, I want to be that active. So, do you think that women should do a weight training, or only men should do it, and women should focus more on Zumba and all? How far do you agree on
Um,
this?
I think it is far more important for women to strength train, weight train, than men. Why? Certainly because number one, we are not, I don't like saying this, but men are sort of biologically gifted in that particular aspect. Okay? They naturally have more muscle mass than women do. Um, Women certainly can benefit a lot from, weight training for various reasons. I'll just pose like two, three of them. Number one is long-term joint
Mhm.
health. Women naturally have weaker joints, especially in their upper body, and also low amount of muscle mass naturally, especially in their upper body as well. So having weaker joints, it might not be, of concern to a lot of people. You'd say that, yeah, it is called being feminine or all. But is it really? Because I don't understand the idea of fragility being um, attractive. Maybe it is for some people, but for me, it is kind of like you are incapable of protecting yourself. Okay. And believe it or not, it is a like this can be a political statement here, but um, it is a patriarchal society we live in.
Yeah.
So, of course, that is the idealistic feminine outlook which a lot of people share because that is basically what has been taught to us.
Mhm.
So, should you be able to protect yourself? Yes. How
Yes.
else are you going to protect yourself?
So, before we end this podcast, what would you like to advise our audience?
The first and the foremost thing that I would say that what you can do as a person for your own health is to be aware of yourself and how you are in your daily life. Because a lot of people aren't aware of the things that they do usually. But when they work with a coach, it certain things are brought to light, you know. Um, so it pays off really well in long term when you are aware of certain decisions that you're making subconsciously, but you don't realize it, right? And making those decisions actually help you, tackle a lot of the problems that people on a daily basis face. Um, so once that is taken care of, I think a lot of people are not going to have as much issues as they face. The second thing I would say is I always promote the idea of exercising and even going to the gym if possible. Okay. A lot of people feel that it is not a good thing to go to gym, or they feel a little bit scared, or they just feel that क्या करेंगे वहां जाके. So whatever emotion drives this decision of theirs, I would suggest that don't think about it. Nobody cares. People are just there to do their own thing, and so should you. One of the things that will definitely happen as a consequence of you going to the gym and starting just your regular fitness. You don't even have to do it like bodybuilders or anything. You just have to make sure that you do it like 3 days or 4 days in a week, whatever you can manage, and be consistent with it, right? And with that, try to incorporate a healthy lifestyle for which you also need to eat in a certain way, right? And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to include avocado in your daily diet or sprouts or chia seeds or something like that. I mean, sure, they are nutritious, very nutritious, but If you don't want to, you don't have to. It's just have a few guidelines in your head, and it would be fine. The first and the foremost is to ensure that you are eating enough protein, which a lot of Indians don't do.
Yeah.
So that is my primary suggestion, to eat more protein, to include more vegetables in most of their meals so that they are getting their fibers in as well as their micronutrients in as well. Even then, it's not enough, but this is a start. Okay.
Yeah.
This is a start to something like this is the first step, I would say. So just by doing that, I think you would comparatively, you'll be healthier. And that would be the absolute generic generalized um, suggestions and recommendations I would make to anybody.
Thank you so much, Mansa. Thank you so much for guiding us towards fitness through this podcast and motivating us in a right direction.
Thank you so much for having me, and I'm pretty sure that this podcast is going to be absolutely wonderful. And hopefully there are multiple seasons so that it grows and grows and grows and grows. And I would love to be part of it again if I get the opportunity. Yeah, thank you for having me.